So, welcome to the Mercury Virtual. Hope you are doing good. Today I am going to continue with your new module, that is the Office Solution Development. This is a new module, and surprisingly there is no student available to understand the concept, to understand what is the main topic of this one. So let's start with the Office Solution Development. As the name advice, what is the or what is the solution to developing the office? That means to develop the office, to develop the various offices like MS Office, Word, Excel 2000, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So that is what are the pattern of the office solution, what are the main objective of the office solution that is used. That includes the office automation executable, that includes the office adding, then code behind an office development. So there are three parts in the office development or the office solution development. Various solution that is provided for developing the office in an efficient and positive manner. That is a main basic. So let's start with the office solution. So introduction to the office solutions. The three basic patterns of office solutions are: now what you understand the basic pattern of the office object model. This chapter explains how the developer pattern and build their office solution. That is how developers pattern and build their office solution, and most of the solution that is built using the office follow one of the three patterns. So there are one of the three patterns that is available. Now what are the three patterns that is available? One is the office automation executable, then office add-in, then code behind an office development. So there are three patterns that is used in the office development scenario. That is, the solution are from the three parts, are from the three methods. One is the office automation executable, then office add-in, then code behind an office document. There are three parts of this one, that is office automation executable, then office add-in, then code behind an office document. An automation executable is a program separate from the office that control and automates an office application, that is used to control and automate an office application, that is a automobile, or that is a automation, or that is a office automation executable. That is a program that is separate from the office that control and automates an office application. So there are three patterns of the office solution that are available. One is the office automation executable. That is, office automation executable is formed, that is executable file is formed for automating the office or automating the office development. That is office automation executable. Then next is the office add-in, then code behind an office development. So one is the executable code that is used for the office development or office automation, then office add-in, that is the add-in product is used for the office, then code behind an office development. That is the what is the code that is used behind an office development, that is what is the hidden code that is developed or that is used behind an office development, right? So let's start with the office automation tool. That is, what is the office automation tool and how it is used. That is the office automation executable. So there is a code that is used behind the office automation executable, that is a program. So it is a program that is separate from the office that control and automates an office application. So whatever the application, whatever the office application that is executed, that is a program that is separate from the office that controls and automates an office application. An automation executable can be created with development tools such as the Visual Studio. This is one of the important tool, that is a Visual Studio. That is one of the we can say the tool that is used for the office executable code. A typical example is a standalone console application or Windows form application that start up an application and then automate it to perform tasks. That means one of the typical example that is used, that is a standalone console application. Standalone console means there is a single application that is developed, that is standalone console application or Windows form application that start up an office application. The main role of Windows application is to start up an office application, then automate it to perform some tasks. So that is a window application, that is the office automation tool that is available to perform some tasks. To start a solution built this way, the user of the solution starts the automation executable. That is, whenever we are starting the or whenever we are going to find a solution that is built this way, the solution of the or the user of the solution starts the automation executable. So whenever there is an execution where there is a solution that is starting up, so the user starts up the automation executable, which in turn start up the office application. That means that will use for the startup of the application that is developed for the office application. Unlike the other two pattern, the automation code does not run in the office process because it runs in its on processes and then talks cross process to the office process being executed. So whatever the application, whatever the automation tool that is developed to make the automation tool very effective. And add-in in a class in an assembly, that is a DLL, that is a dynamic link library that office loads and creates when needed. So whenever the office loads and create whenever it is needed, and add-in runs in the process with the office application instead of requiring its own process that is separate from the office application process. So that is the add-in in the class is required, that is known as the DLL, that is a dynamic link library that loads the office, that office loads and creates when needed. So whenever the office loads and creates the content, it is loaded into the DLL, and there is a add-in runs in the process with the office application instead of requiring its own process that is separate from the office application process. So whatever the application, whatever the process that is separated from the office application processes. And to start a solution built this way, the user of the solution starts the office application associated with the add-in. So whatever the add-in process that is developed, so that application will be developed in this way. Then office detects registered add-in on startup and loads them. An add-in can customize an office application in the same ways that the code behind is used, or that the code behind the document can. So whatever the document can, that will be used for the office applications in the same ways. However, this code or whatever the code that is used behind the document unloads when the document associated with code is closed. So whenever the document is closed, whatever the code that is used in behind the code or in associated, or whatever the code that is loaded, or whatever the document that is associated with the code is closed, and add-in can remain loaded throughout the lifetime of the office application. That means either though the application is closed, either though the document is closed, but the add-in that is required or that is going on, that remains the loaded or that remains the fixed throughout the lifetime of the office application. The code behind patterns was popularized by the Visual Basic for Application, that is a VBA, that is simple development environment that is included with Office, that enables the developer to write the Visual Basic code against the object model of a particular Office application. So whatever the particular Office application developer that is used, that is associated with the code with a particular document or the template. A document can be associated with C# or Visual Basic code behind any Visual Studio tool for the VSTO, that is the Visual Tools for the Office scenarios. So this is the VBA coding that provides with the C# and the Visual Basic code that is used with the 2005 tool that is known as the VSTO, that is the Visual Tools for the Office, and that is a tool that is used to start a solution that is built in this way. The user opens a document that has a code behind it, or creates a new document from a template that has code behind it, and whatever the code that is used behind the document will customize the office application in some way while the document is open. So when the document is open, the document will customize in an important way, whether that may be offline document, that whether there may be office document, office application, whatever the document that is open in the office applications. For example, the code behind the document might add menu items that are only present when the document is open, or associate the code with the event that occurs while the document is open. So whatever the document, whenever the document is open, or whenever any event occurs, that the document is open with the associated code that occurs with the document, that is associated with the files when the document is open. We discussed two advanced patterns later in this book. The server document pattern involves running a code on a servers to manipulate the data stored in an Office development without starting the Office application. That means manipulating whatever the data that is stored without manipulating the Office application that start with the Office application. VSTO, that is a Visual Studio 2005 tool for the office that makes this scenario possible through a feature that is used with a server that is known as the cached data, that is the cached data or the cache data. Chapter number 18, that is known as the server data scenarios, discuss with this pattern. So there is a chapter number 18 that is available, that is a server data scenario that is discussed with this pattern. The XML and the XST or XSLT pattern is similar to the server document pattern and involve writing the code to generate Word or the Excel documents in the word processing or word processing XML or the spreadsheet ML format. So whatever the format that is used, so XML and the SLT pattern is similar to the server document pattern and involve the writing code to generate the Word or the Excel document in the word processing formats. You can also generate these formats by applying an XSLT transform to some XML data. Chapter number 21, that is working with the XML in Excel, and chapter number 22, that is working with the XML in Word, discuss these scenarios. So this is the theory that says how to use the office or how to develop the office, that is what are the executables or what is the office automation executable that is developed for the office applications. Right. The next is the hosted code, that is what is the main code that is used, that is known as the hidden code or the hosted code. The add-in and the code behind patterns are sometimes known as the hosted code, which means that your code runs in the same process as the office application. So whatever the office application, whatever the code that is used in this one, that runs in the same process as the office application, that is the hosted code. So add-in and the code behind pattern are sometimes known as the hosted code. Next is discovery of the hosted code, that is how we are going to discover the discovery of or make the discovery of the hosted code. So for the code to be run in the office application process, the office application must be able to discover your code. So first of all, whenever I want to run the office application process, I want to run the executable file, that is the exe file. The first step is to discover the code, that is what is the main code. Then load that code into the process space and then run your code. That means first of all, find out what is the main code that is used, that is discover the code, then load the code into the process space and then run the code. Office add-ins are registered in the Windows registry so that the Office can find and start them. So Office add-on are registered, are available in the Windows registry so that the Office can find and start them. That is, the Office add-ons are registered or are available in the Windows registry. Using the registry, that seems a little non.NET, that is using the language .NET, but this is necessary because the Office 3 talks to add-on if they were COM objects through the COM interop. So whatever the interrupt, whatever the intercom that is available, they are using the COM interrupt when they are using the COM objects. The code behind the document pattern does not require a registry entry. So it does not require any registry entry. Instead, the code is associated with the document by adding some special properties. So some special properties are add on with the document with the special properties to the document files. Office read these files or properties when the document opens. So whenever the document opens, that reads the file, that reads the data that is available with the Office document. Then Office loads the code that is associated with the document. So whatever the document, whatever the properties that documents or that Office loads that code that is associated with the document, that is a hosted code. So what is the hosted code? That is the adding course or the whatever the code that is used for the run in the Office application process that must be able to discover the code. So first part is discover the code, then second part is load that code into the process space and then run the code. So Office reads these properties when the document opens, then Office loads the code associated with the document. So first of all, Office reads the properties, then the document is opened, then Office loads the code. So whatever the code that is associated, that loads the code that is associated with the document. That is the discovery of the hosted code. So whatever the code that is used to run in the Office application process, that application must be used in an Office application process that must be able to discover the code, load the code into the process space and then run the code. and the office add-ins are registered into the space registered in the Windows registry so that the office can find and start them. And using the registry add-ons, that seems a little non.NET core, that is they are using the .NET framework. Well, this is necessary because Office 2003 talks to add-in if they were COM or COM objects or through the COM interop. Now, whatever the code that is used behind a document pattern does not require any registry entry. So code that is available that requires a registry entry, the code that is behind the pattern that does not require a registry entry. Instead, the code is associated with the document by adding some special properties to the document files. Next is context provided to the hosted code. So how the context will be provided to the hosted code. So it is critical that your hosted code get context. It needs to get the application object or the document object. So it is crucial or it is critical to use the hosted code that get context and that needs to get the application object or the document object for the Office application into which it is loading. That means it is used with the Office application that is used for the loading purpose, that is a hosted code. COM add-ins are provided with the context through an interface implemented by the add-in class. That means COM add-ins, COM objects add-ins are implemented provided with the context that is used with the interface that is used with the add-in class. And the Outlook add-in, so there is a facility that is used with the Microsoft Outlook, that is the Outlook add-in in the VSTO, that is the Visual Studio tool for the Office, are provided with the context through class created in the project that represent the application being customized. So whatever the application that is customized, that is representing the object. Then the code behind the object in VSTO is provided with the context through a class that is created in the project that represent the document being customized. So whatever the document, whatever the project they are representing, they represent the document being customized. That is the context provided to the hosted code. Point for the hosted code, that is the first is the entry point for the hosted code, that at startup Office goes into the entry point when your code can run for the first time and register for the event that might occur late in the session. So at the startup points, Office calls into the entry point. This is the main entry point when your code can run for the first time and register for the event that might occur later in the session. So whatever the session that is available, that might be occur in the first sense, in the positive sense, in the negative sense. And for a COM add-in, this requirement is the on connection method BTE, that is the integrated extensibility to interface, that is implemented by the COM objects. And for a VSTO, that is for a Studio tool for the object Outlook add-ins, that is used VSTO code behind the document. This entry point is the startup event handler. So this entry point is the startup event handler that is used with the starting point of the handler. Now for a VSTO Outlook add-in that is behind the code, this is the entry point for the startup event handler. The next is how the code get run after the startup, that is how the code run. This is the scenario, that is how the code run. This I am going to take in the next class because there is no student available in the